like emojis floating to the top of your screen. These are the best of my lives on Facebook. My lives on Facebook.
Big exciting news in Beyond Obedience front. I have internet. What? Yes. Hey everybody, Tracy here, Beyond Obedience. We're going to be talking about Apollo today to answer the question that came in about dogs that lack self-control or impulse control. Some people call it impulse control. But I got a question in from my good friend Katie. And her question was about a Australian Shepherd mix that she says he just lacks self-control. They have to micromanage his behavior all the time. The slightest little affection or attention, like if they pet him in the slightest way, he will, compulsively start licking and jumping and being all excited. And I wanted to do this on the live today because, oh man, do I know what you're talking about, Katie. Oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Because that is Apollo. That is Apollo. So I know all about what it's like to have a dog that if you even ever so slightly, if I pet him or even look at him, he thinks that's an invitation for a massive celebration, right? Like it's the jumping and he has this really odd behavior of like alligator snapping in your face, which was probably the reason why he couldn't get adopted when he was at the Humane Society. Like it's quite intimidating when a dog like that does that. And so I've had to learn very interesting ways to help Apollo with his impulse control. And I wanted to talk about a few things. The first thing, when we're talking about dogs that are that have this, those really, really excitable dogs that just love, you touch them and they blow up and everything comes out of them, is this concept of most people are told to ignore the behavior, right? Which actually Katie had mentioned that's what they've been doing. They've had to resort to just ignoring him all the time, which isn't fun. I mean, so they have the extreme of they either have to micromanage every little thing that they do or they try ignoring him, which isn't fun for the dog. And the ignoring the behavior part is only half of the solution, because dogs don't live in a world of no. They have to have a, if not this, then that, then what behavior, right? If you don't want me to do this, then what do you want me to do, right? You can't just say no and be like, that's it, just don't stop doing that. It's not how behavior works in general for anybody, right? But in particular, when we're talking about our dogs, you have to give them something else. You have to give them feedback onto the behavior. So ignoring them is just ran by. Ignoring them isn't going to be the complete solution. You can't avoid that step. Otherwise, the dogs just revert to something else. They're going to fill in that blank for you. If you don't direct them as to what it is that you want them to do, they're going to fill that in for you. And they're going to come up with other things, right? And that obsessiveness, that compulsiveness will manifest its way in other behaviors that you also don't enjoy. So when it came to Apollo, when it came to this understanding of, okay, I don't want you, every time I look at you, I don't want you to jump in my face. We had to use some tools at the beginning, obviously, because unfortunately for dogs with that kind of energy and the licking and the everything, you're going to put energy back into it. You just can't help yourself if you don't have a tool to help you. So, when he would jump at me, I'd block, and then he'd come at me like repeatedly, and I'm like, oh my God, I'd end up going, stop! Like, oh my God. If you just sort of repeatedly get your dog to sit so they understand that if not that, this. The problem with that, and I will be perfectly honest with you, the problem with that is it doesn't help the state of mind of the dog. So having the dog, like, it goes to jump, you go, no, sit. They're just going to sit and then just be like, ooh, and it's just going to build in them, unfortunately. But it's a start for sure. It's a start so that you can catch your breath and be able to go, this is what I want to hear. Maybe I'll try. There's snow on here, but I'll see what happens. I'm going to sit down. I'll see if I can show you what Apollo does. He's not really paying attention to me. So we want to tackle the state of mind. And this is something, here he comes. See, I'm kind of like, You'll notice I'm trying not to look at him, right? Because that will make him go like even more crazy. There he is in the background. So we do something here. I teach something called Be With. And it was something that I learned in natural horsemanship. And it's something that I teach in all of my programs because it is one of the most, I mean, I use it for so many different things. I use it for awareness. When I'm first learning about a dog, I will use this exercise for just seeing what they do. Where do they go? If I sit and be calm, what does that make you do? For dogs like Apollo, it's teaching them the other side of, I don't want you to jump in my face, but I do want you to do this. And I have to mimic. He just gave up. He's like, I'm not sitting down. Who sits on a walk, woman? Come on, Apollo. So this concept of Be With is literally teaching them what you want them to be. And it becomes almost meditative. I've practiced this so much that I do it with a lot of deep breathing. I do it with a lot of exaggerated breaths. And what's really cool is if you practice this a lot with your dog, this idea of being with you and what it is that you expect them to be in that moment, you have to be what you want the dog to be, which is why ignoring them doesn't work, because you're not telling them what you want them to do. And it's also why it's also giving them the other side of that. When you push them or block or protect, even protecting yourself, like, you know, when they jump at you and you protect yourself, all that energy that you put into it is just going to make the dog even more excited. So this concept of Be With is literally just trying to be what you want the dog to be. And it becomes such an amazing bonding and connection session. If you've seen, I have so many pictures of me doing this on the beach with my dogs. I will sit, I'm mesmerized by the ocean. I love the ocean. And when I go there with my dogs, I will literally just sit down. I don't ask my dogs to sit. In any of those pictures that you see, those positions are the positions my dog chose to take, which is kind of cool. And I always observe that. Where did they decide to go? Did they decide to connect with me? Did they lay down beside me? What did they decide to do? The rhythmic pattern of the waves of the ocean helps our breathing sort of connect. It's such a huge bonding connection. But for a dog like Apollo, hey, I'm still over here. Thanks. For a dog like Apollo, me just sitting down with him is not going to get that. And I'm assuming your dog, Katie, also, no, you're not going to get that level yet. So for him, I had to actually help out a little bit. We did use a leash. With him. When I would sit down, he would be on a leash. It was basically a modified version of sit on the dog. If you don't know that exercise, look it up. Can't remember who came up with that. But it's a great exercise called Sit on the Dog. It's used a lot when we have puppies. It's to teach them what we expect them to do when we're resting, right? This idea that when I rest, you rest, right? When I walk, you walk, that kind of thing. But I do this Be With session. It is literally just sitting. I don't talk to the dog. I don't acknowledge the dog. If I have a dog, I'll post some pictures of me doing this with Apollo, because you'll see that I do a lot of stuff where I have to kind of block and ignore him. And the more he comes at me, the more I increase my breathing. I'll exaggerate my breathing. And it really does start eventually, believe it or not, this hyperactive, crazy nut job of a dog eventually settled right down and then actually lays down beside me. It's an incredible process. It takes some time and we have to practice it a lot. Apollo and I are out of practice. I'm not going to lie. I haven't done that exercise since I moved here with him. Verbal cue. My dogs don't do a lot of obedience stuff, but for dogs like this, my one dog that is like this, Katie, the best command that you can ever teach these guys is place command. And out of all of my dogs, as I say, I don't do a lot of obedience with them because they don't need it. But for this dog, place command, right? So we taught him place. We gave him something that he's supposed to do instead. It's giving that, if not this, then what, right? If I don't want you to run around like a maniac, if I don't want you to jump all over me, if I don't want you to do this, then what do you want me to do? Place command gave me that, if what, then what, right? And you need that. You need to give them something else. And then I slowly, with place command and doing the be with and the calming exercises, then and only then did I add affection. Okay? That's the only time that they got affection. So I literally had to get them to go, this is the behavior I'm looking for. And now that you're in that behavior, now I will pet you. Right? Now I will be able to sit beside you and you can calmly sit there, and now I will pet you. But I had to do all that other work. I had to be who I wanted the dog to be. I had to learn how to be calm around that dog. Then I figured out how far away, or what are the triggers, what are the little things that I'm doing that's setting him off, that's making him go crazy, and I work from that point. I do a tiny minuscule step. If he goes off, nope, and I back up. You don't get what you want until you give me what I need, right? Now he's back. See, before this would have been crazy. Now, I still know, I will say this, I still know with this dog, I'm just petting him, right? There's just petting going on right now. If I were to look at him and talk to him, he'd jump on me. I still know that about him. So I'm going to not, I'm not going to do that with him, right? He's actually just accepting this. I don't mind this. I like this. This is a nice connection. He's leaning into me, which is lovely, right? And we're having a nice little moment here. I had to figure out what touch he was calming for him and what touch wasn't calming for him. So deep muscle massages are, I'm going to switch hands. Deep muscle massages for him are more calming. I don't know if you can see it. I should get a selfie stick. So I'm literally rubbing, like almost giving him a massage, right? If I were to start going pet, 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 or see, he's going to, or look at him, or start talking to him, especially if I talk to him in like a really high pitched voice or ask him questions or whatnot, he's going to literally muzzle punch me in the face. That's what this dog does. And I will say, like, if you had met, well, you've met Apollo, but if you had met him when I first got him, he was insane, right? So now I've learned that these are the kind of things that I can do with this particular dog, right? See, that's that snappy thing, right? I'm gonna put energy into it. Look at it. It'll be all snappy. He's crazy, this dog. He's insane. You know this dog too. So I hope that helps. I'm gonna just kind of recap that because it's a lot of stuff. It's quite the process. So first and foremost, we always have to give them the if not this, then what answer. If I don't want you to do this behavior, then what behavior do I want to do? It's not enough to just ignore the behavior. You have to tell them what else you want them to do. And if it means right now, until you get through all of the other stuff, that you have to take away affection from him, that's okay. That's okay. I'll tell you right now, affection is mostly for us. Right? We give our dogs affection because it makes us feel good. It's not always for the dog, right? Dogs, you don't see dogs going up to other dogs and hugging them or petting them or doing that. That's not how they show affection, for one, or connection even, for that matter. That's how we do it. Dogs just comply to it because they know it makes us feel good. Right? And then they use that to manipulate the crap out of us. That's exactly what's going on there. But you want to be, if not this behavior, what behavior? You have to start there. You have to give him the other behavior that you want him to be. And if that means, because he's a nut job, that you have to teach him the place command, and he has to be over there and he has to do place, then that's what you do. right? The other thing is this idea of be with. Teach the dog how you want them to be when they are with you. You have to be the person that you want your dog to be, right? You have to become that person. Being calm and saying, this is what I'd rather have, is what will help with that. So be with, you literally teach the dog that this is the state of mind that I want you to be in when we're hanging out, right? And I love be with. It's my favorite thing in the world to do. I'll tell you how much I love it, y'all. It's the first week's class in my relationship remedy program, and I get people to send me in videos of their be with sessions, and then I analyze them, and I love it so much because I'm fascinated by how dogs connect with us. It's amazing. If you need to, you can utilize tools in that moment and do a modified sit on the dog, and that just gives you the leash to help the dog understand and get there faster. Then wean that out. Start to do these be with sessions, these meditative like sessions where you don't touch them, you don't talk to them, you don't look at them, you just be with the dog. And they start to get this understanding of, oh, okay, we're just resting, we're just hanging out, that's okay. And it becomes, this is an acceptable behavior when we're together. I don't need to be petting you, you don't need to be jumping on me, you don't need to be licking me, you don't need to do all these other things. We can just do this, it's awesome. And then finally, figure out what forms of affection, when you want to add affection back in, what forms of affection will the dog tolerate, and you figure that out. As I said, if you know anybody that you think would benefit from this, and you know those people, you go to their house and they have that crazy dog, if you think they'll benefit this, please share this post with them. You know, share this. Sharing is caring. Let's help more dogs. All right, I hope everyone has a great day, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Cheers.